My name is Brian Barczyk. I've been working with exotic animals for over 25 years. I'm no zoologist, just a guy with a passion for animals. And that passion often takes me on animal adventures around the world. This week, I'm here at VHB. You're watching Snake Bites. It's been several years since there's really been a slow season for me. Nowadays, there's always something breeding, laying eggs, or babies hatching. But this time of the year is by far the most busy. This time of year, pythons are laying eggs, but we're still breeding the late females. Colubrids are totally in full force, breeding and starting to lay eggs, and leopard geckos and bearded dragons are laying eggs like mad. At what age did Brian decide he wanted to dedicate his life to working with animals? A, 5 years old, B, 9 years old, or C, 12 years old? Go ahead and answer down below in the comments and check back later in the show to see if you have the correct answer. In this week's Reptile Report Spotlight, we'll be highlighting boa constrictors. Go ahead and check out the URL down below or click on the link in the description. This time of the year, we can have over a dozen clutches each day laid by ball pythons and other pythons. But today, we only have one clutch of eggs to show you. But hey, I tell you what, any eggs is great, and I don't care how many they are. This happens to be a het caramel albino ball python bred to a caramel male, and she's wrapped around a really nice clutch of eggs. But man, she looks a little bit upset at me to see. Look, she's really fired up. She does not want me to take her eggs. So let's see if we can get this without getting bit. Whew, she's a little feisty bugger, isn't she? Look at her. That's okay, Mama. You did really good. And this is a really nice clutch of eggs. It's not too huge, but this is kind of the perfect size eggs. I gotta watch out where she is. And now what we'll typically do with these guys is after we take the eggs, we'll take the female out. We'll actually wash her off with soap and water, revamp her cage so she gets all the smell of eggs off, because a maternal incubating female, like most pythons, believe it or not, if they think they're supposed to be incubating the eggs, they won't eat for 60 days. Now we want to put some food into this girl as quick as we can so that next year she'll have plenty of weight when she's breeding again. And a couple months on eggs is going to make it harder for her to breed. And then basically all we do is we use hatch right in an incubator box just like this, and we just nestle the eggs right down in the hatch right like this. There happens to be 2, 4, 6, 8 eggs, and off to the incubator we go. Now you guys have seen that I actually take all my pythons home to a walk-in incubator, but I have these incubators here. When I pull a clutch earlier or several clutches earlier, I can put them in here until I go home. Now what's interesting about this clutch right here is there's one egg that's adhered to the top, and obviously I'm not going to be able to shut the lid, so you have to be really careful to tear these guys apart. And I just really gently, very, very carefully rip them apart. And I tell you, if you aren't gentle, you can unfortunately rip the egg, and that egg will go bad. So again, it takes a little bit of nerve and a little practice too. But there you have it, a beautiful egg. And I just separate that one out, plop a lid on that little baby there, throw it in the incubator, and later today, it'll go on a little drive to my house. Even though we're collecting a lot of eggs, we're still spending a lot of time breeding snakes, because python's breeding season is a pretty long season, and there's some girls that just are still developing follicles. Take, for instance, this pewter bee right here that's being bred to a lemon blast banana. She was about 28 millimeters the last time we checked, so she still needs to get bred. And again, we're gonna just check these every now and then, and I can tell you she has some pretty good follicles right now. She's pretty close to the end of her breeding season right now, but we just keep a real close eye on these things every single week. She's all the way up to 32 millimeters. Now, if I can get one more breeding in this girl, I'm gonna shelf her for the year, and she'll probably have eggs in about 2 months, which is pretty awesome. But as you can see, there's plenty of work to still be done to make sure that we get good clutches of pythons. Each type of animal really has a completely different breeding season. When it comes to rainbow boas, they actually breed typically in the spring, not the winter like most other pythons. So we're really just getting rolling with the breeding of these Brazilian rainbow boas, and they'll probably have babies usually around August or September, and a bunch of live babies in a cage. It's just an exciting experience. Now you might see here, we actually group 2 or 3 females per cage and then rotate males through those cages. Now a lot of people will breed boas 1-to-1, but we've kind of noticed with Brazilian rainbow boas that when one female starts to develop follicles, it actually rubs off on the other female, and the other females will start to produce follicles as well. That way we get all the females to produce. But again, it's just work during different times of the season. Now unfortunately, keeping them in a group sometimes a little more work too, because you have to separate them out for feeding and cleaning and all the other stuff. Not to mention, we like to give them a couple days off each week just to kind of reduce the stress of being together. But man, whew, these guys are beauties. But this one's a feisty little bugger. Look at this thing. It wants me right away as soon as I picked it up. Now that's typically a sign that she's starting to get ready to ovulate, and you can tell she's starting to beef up a little bit because she's usually a really tame animal. She's certainly in a bad mood today. Come on, little girl, get back in there. You're fine. Gotta love these guys. Fortunately, the crew does the majority of the maintenance in this room, such as feeding, cleaning, and watering. Colubrids are absolutely insane this time of the year, certainly the busiest part of BHB during the summer months. Each and every cage has to get gone through every day and spot clean. Fortunately, the majority of that falls on Sam.
This time of year is really busy in the colubrid room. We've got stuff laying left and right, and stuff is gonna start hatching soon, so it's gonna get even crazier. And my job is, like it has been for the past few years, make sure everything in here is clean. Everything has got to be gone through every single day. Make sure everything has fresh water, clean all the poop out. There's a lot of poop. Colubrids poop like crazy. So it's just a non-stop job in here, and this time of year is crazy.
Switching males into females' cages alone is a full-time job. You have to remember there are hundreds and hundreds of males and thousands of females that need to get switched pretty much 5 days a week. And it is so important that the right male gets in with the right female at the right time of her follicle development, because if there's one mistake, you're pretty much screwed. On top of that, it's egg laying season for the colubrids, which really gets crazy pretty soon. When we're in full blast, we've had days where we pulled as many as 2,000 eggs in a day. Now that's a lot of eggs. This happens to be a Pueblan that just laid, and the first thing we're going to do is just kind of pull the clutch out, but we're also going to inspect the female, make sure she doesn't have any eggs in her. She looks fine, she looks really healthy, she's ready to go. Basically good to go as far as feeding and rebreeding, because she's got plenty of weight on her. And then basically we just process the clutch of eggs, which is just taking them out, make sure they look okay, count them and catalog them. 2, 4, 6, 7 eggs. Just pop them in some vermiculite. We've got one slug egg, and a slug egg is pretty easy to tell. You look at the difference between this egg and that egg. It's all squishy and yellow and misshapen. That's just a garbage egg. If we ever have any question about an egg, you can always use a little light to candle inside to see if there's any blood vessels, but I'm sure this one doesn't have it whatsoever. Then basically all we're gonna do is just write down the information. This female, she's from C7. It's bred to an apricot Pueblan male. We write all the information on this cage in our data book, and we move on to the next cage. Pulling clutches of eggs can literally take 3 to 5 hours each day during the colubrid breeding season, so it certainly is a pretty big endeavor. And this is a pretty good clutch of eggs. This is actually a granite Mex project, which I absolutely love the little San Luis Potosi's, and the granite ones are even cooler. And this is a great opportunity to show you guys something. Remember how I talked about inspecting a female after she lays? Well, sure enough, this one is egg bound, or what we call denocia. Now, it's right down by the tip of the tail. You can see right here, that might be good or it might be bad. The thing that concerns me about this one right here is that it's a handful of scales, maybe 3 or 4 subcaudal scales back. That usually tells me that there's something wrong. But what I normally do is I'll just take a probe like this and I go right in. Again, I'm just trying to take that probe and work around so that I don't rip anything. And now the egg's coming out right like that. Now again, this egg may or may not actually make it as far as being fertile. Oh, just really gently trying to get it out. I know it looks terrible, but trust me, I'm saving this animal's life right now. Again, this egg may or may not be good. And you can actually see right there, that's the embryo, right there. So I'll set this egg up, but there's a good chance that the egg itself won't actually hatch. But if nothing else, we just saved this little girl's life, which is pretty cool, because I hate when snakes die because they egg bound. It makes you feel terrible that you bred an animal and then something you did actually caused it to go denocia and then unfortunately not make it. So we'll see if this animal lives right here. And I'm going to mark this egg on this box, and I'll go ahead and tweet or Facebook later on and tell you if this egg hatched. I really love the educational and interacting part of my day. I tweet a ton. As a matter of fact, most people that know me think I'm a Twitterholic for sure. Whether it's snake pictures or silly things or links, I'm always on Twitter. And everyone knows I'm a huge Facebook guy. I'm constantly updating my status, whether it's my personal one, my BHB one, or SnakeBytesTV. I live for Facebook. And recently, I've been really working on doing a lot more Vine videos. It's so fun to get people excited about animals. As a matter of fact, SnakeBytesTV just launched a free mobile app. You can check it out in the Apple Store or Google Play Store and download it. Keep up to date with what we're doing. Lately, a ton of my time and energy has went into my latest project, SnakeBytesTV. We're all sick of the negative and sensational animal programming that's on most of the television networks now. Well, we're about to change that by launching the first online independent animal network produced by animal lovers for animal lovers.
Hatching soon. The first independent animal network produced for animal lovers by animal lovers. Join animal experts from around the globe as they take you on a journey to the wild side. SnakeBytesTV. New episodes every weekday. SnakeBytesTV. For animal lovers, by animal lovers. The adventure begins this July.
And you can see, she's definitely not in a good mood. It's been a ton of work to launch a project this big, but we're almost there, just a few weeks away from launching SnakeBytesTV. As a matter of fact, if you're subscribed to this channel, you're going to be subscribed to SnakeBytesTV. That's right, SnakeBytesTV channel will be rebranded as SnakeBytesTV. But don't worry, SnakeBytesTV isn't going anywhere. It's going to be a show of animal bites. So every Wednesday, you're going to get your dose of me and my crazy animal antics. You guys can't get rid of me that soon. Now let's get back to some animal work. There's certainly leopard gecko madness in my life right now. I've only really been working with leopard geckos for a short period of time. This is really my first major breeding season, but I tell you, I have so caught the leopard gecko bug. Just look how cute these little buggers are, aren't they? And it's egg production season, so I tell you what, there are a ton of eggs getting laid. Now, I personally take care of all the adult leopard geckos. I do the feeding, the cleaning, the pooling of eggs and everything, and I'm absolutely enjoying it like you can't believe. But we're averaging about 200 to 300 eggs per week, which kind of is a lot of work, to be totally honest with you. Just going through and checking for eggs and pooling eggs and cataloging them each week takes quite a bit of time. And look at here. Look at the little guys. I know we did an entire show about leopard geckos and pooling eggs and the whole process that I go through with breeding. So there's no sense in kind of beating a dead horse when it comes to that. But still, every time I find a clutch of eggs, it's just so cool. In this case, just 2 eggs, only 1 female laid. But I tell you what, these little 4-legged animals have really caught my heart. And I can see it's going to be a big part of my future. I just hatched my first baby leopard geckos of the year just about a week ago. So let me just give you a sneak peek of what we've hatched so far, and there's so much more to come. I've only hatched about 20 leopard geckos this year, but boy, there's some really cute ones. Do you hear that little guy making all that noise? Look at how cute he is. I tell you what, and this is a little snow Tremper white and yellow. So it's a pretty cool animal, and it's just really, really gorgeous. Here's another one with a more aberrant pattern. Take a look at that one. Wow. Look at the cool patterning down its back. Now that thing is going to be really cool when it starts to get a little bit of age on it. And I think this one had some of the coolest head patterning of anything that I've hatched so far this year. I absolutely love this animal, and I wonder what it's going to look like when it gets a little size to it. But look at that head. Look at the patterning on it. It's crazy looking. Again, I'm just super excited about hatching geckos, and there are so many to hatch. I can't imagine what we're going to produce. But it's not the only four-legged animal. Let's go look at bearded dragons real quick. Now, bearded dragons are certainly quite a different animal than a leopard gecko from a maintenance standpoint. They're both incredibly docile, great pets, and so beautiful. But I tell you what, bearded dragons are a lot more work. Every day they need veggies and bugs, and we soak them a couple times a week. Now we keep them in 1.3 groups right here in these breeding cages, and they've been breeding really well. We've been getting a lot of eggs. Now what we do is we take the females out once they start scratching, and we put them into a separate cage that's full of dirt, and that's where they're going to bury themselves in there and lay their eggs. Once they're done, we pull them back out, we beef them up and back into the breeding colony. We even have some babies hatching right now. It's really an exciting time for such an amazing animal. Listen, reptile breeding for a living isn't for everybody. You've got to love it so much and live it every minute of every day. If you're not passionate about it, you're going to fail miserably and the animals are going to suffer. But if you love it like I do, it's one of the coolest things in the world. At what age did Brian decide he wanted to dedicate his life to working with animals? If you said C, 12 years old, you're 100% correct. Good job. So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. You can see how exciting it is this time of year at BHB, and I hope you guys are as thrilled as I am about the soon-to-launch Animal Bites TV. And as always, I'll be Facebooking and tweeting my way through it, so make sure to follow me over at SnakeBytesTV. Until next week, you've been watching Snake Bites.